Pete Hegseth. So the vote's going to be next week. And it's probably going to get confirmed. Going to be close. Going to be close. Now, the problem I have with this is that we didn't learn much about Pete Hegseth in the Senate hearings because it was all the Democrats trying to destroy him and slime him and smear him, and the Republicans saying, we don't care, we're going to confirm him. So there's a lot of stuff going on in defense. We are changing from a traditional military into a AI high-tech military. How much does Mr. Hegseth know about that? I don't know, because I didn't ask him. Now, there is a poll, AP, Associated Press, and it says Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense strongly approved 19%. Neither approve or disapprove 12%. Strongly somewhat disapprove 35%. Don't know 33%. And that don't know isn't stupidity because most people don't know who he is. So that's valid. But his approval among the folks is low. Again, because we don't know much about him. I never met him. When I left Fox News, he was coming on in. So on TV last night, it was the usual partisan stuff. Let's start with General Barry McCafrrey. Go.
Are we going to use military power in Mexico against drug cartels? Let's bomb them with B-2 bombers. Are we going to threaten Canada to coerce them economically into becoming part of the United States? This sort of goofy, nutty stuff will come to the Secretary of Defense for his decisions. And that's where people should be troubled about this nominee.
Well, that's a load of gibberish. The Secretary of Defense doesn't make any decisions at all. He carries out decisions. Now, McCafrrey knows that, but he's making money working for MSNBC. He was on the first O'Reilly factor ever in 1996 as head of the DEA. And he was a pinhead then. I'm sorry, but he is. He's I know his service, but the guy, okay. Secretary of Defense is not making any policy decisions, okay? We all get that. Now, here's Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, who should know better. Go.
You got to understand the demands of the presidency, and presidents could make bad decisions. And it could be up to the Secretary of Defense or other cabinet members to stop him from executing on a bad decision. That's the job of the Secretary of Defense.
No, it's not. Secretary of Defense can't stop a president from making a decision about foreign policy. That's insane. I mean, all you have to do is study FDR in World War II, and his advisors told him a whole bunch of stuff, and he just went, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Some of it was wrong. Some of it was wrong. The president makes the decisions. He's the commander-in-chief. Kelly gets out there and goes, stop him from executing a bad decision. It's stupid. Now, on the other side, there was partisanship as well. Go.
What Tim Kaine asked today is, did you cheat on your wife when you made a vow to her?
Who cares?
Why does that have anything to do with running a mandate in the military? He might have had
whether you lie about it or not.
Did you cheat on your wife? Can you conduct a war? What does that have to do with anything?
Well, Americans do care, or Hegseth's approval will be higher. They do. However, Dwight Eisenhower cheated on his wife. Well, he was the supreme Allied commander in World War II. George Patton cheated on his wife, if you read Killing Patton. So O'Leary said, wow, who cares? No, Americans should know the character of their leaders. That's true. They say, who cares? That's not true. But those kinds of things don't usually have anything to do with competence. All right? And I just backed that up with two major historical figures who were very competent in military matters. All right, we're pleased to have tonight Senator Tommy Tuberville from Arizona, who's a very outspoken guy, and I like that. Arizona, Alabama. Jeez, I'm sorry, I got Mark Kelly on my brain here, Senator.
That's all right.
Okay, anything I said in my analysis of Hegseth that you feel is not correct?
Well, first of all, the Secretary of Defense builds the military from all sides. He's the head man. He's not going to make decisions, obviously, by himself whether we're going to go to war or not. The person that does that is obviously the President of the United States and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. There's a lot of avenues in which the Secretary of Defense has to go through to do anything other than put his touch on the military, which we desperately build. We have got to build our military back. It's the weakest in a lot of areas that we've ever been. We're short on recruiting, and Pete brings the passion. He brings motivation, and he brings understanding. He has got experience in fighting in 2 wars and understanding that we've got to build it back by people. People win wars. We've got to have more people, more soldiers, more people that are going to be in the fight. And if we don't do that, then we're not going to win any fights.
All right, that's an excellent point, that the Secretary of Defense does shape how the military looks at itself. And that's true. But 33%, according to this new poll, of Americans have no blanket idea, Senator, what Pete Hegseth believes. And we didn't get much of that yesterday. We got smears and ridiculous attacks from the Democrats, and we got boosterism from the Republicans. I don't think that serves the folks. Am I wrong?
Well, the Democrats were seek and destroy. Chuck Schumer sicked all the Democrats on Pete, and that's what it's about up here. When you're so divided as we are, and they're obviously going back to November the 5th. They're heartbroken that their nominee did not win the election, but it was a mandate. Now, on our side, we did ask questions about certain things. Mine was about recruiting. It was about what are you going to do in the Pentagon? Obviously, we need to knock a couple sides off of it. We're way overbloated with generals. And there was other questions, but the staff, Bill, Armed Services, we have spent hours, not just those 4 or 5 hours yesterday. We have spent hours with him. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing. We're not going to have a second chance.
All right. Well, what did you learn when you spent time with him? So he has no experience running a corporation. None. Did you leave the meeting confident that he could take on this monster, this Pentagon?
Well, it's 3 or 4 million people.
Yeah.
Almost $1 trillion budget. There's nobody in the Pentagon that we could have gone over and picked that would been any better than him. First of all, we need to get somebody the age of the warfighter, closer to the age, that understands it. As you said earlier, and you made a good point, we're getting into a new era of weapons, AI, drones, all those things. Really, and we're on the very cusp of just starting this. It's a new era. The next war will probably be fought in space. That's the reason we now have a Space Command and Space Force. It's totally new. Pete has been involved in that to some degree. Most of the generals that are 3 and 4 stars in the Pentagon have not. They have not been involved in that. And so, hey, if we could have got somebody better, I would have been all for it. But Pete there's a mixture with him. He has passion. He has motivation. He's got people behind him. He understands that we have to win. There's no second place in war. There's no participation trophies. We have to win when we go to war. We hadn't won a war since World War II, but the next one's going to be a big one, and we got to understand that.
Well, I'll challenge you there. I think we won the war on terror in the sense we disassembled ISIS and Al Qaeda in a very effective way, and I wrote a book on it, Killing the Killers. So I'm not as, and our military. The problem with our military is, and if I had been on your committee, on the Armed Services Committee, which you're on, okay, I would have asked Hegseth this. I said, look, the problem with the military right now is that it's confused. The individual soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, they're confused about, well, should I be politically correct? Can I use a swear word? Can I get them up at 5 a.m, or am I going to get sued? And you've got to lay out that the military is not Princeton University, and then put clear guidelines on how we train our people. because I know for a fact that a lot of the military people, they're scared. They don't want to get in trouble. You know that, Senator.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was in coaching a long time. You couldn't put a hand on the players the last 10 years that I coach. You couldn't grab them by the face mask or push them in anything. We're in a different era, but the military bill has got to be different. It can't be affirmative action. It can't be DEI. It has got to have strict regulations where everybody is judged the same way, man or woman. I don't care who's a war fighter or who's not a war fighter. You come in, you go by those regulations. We have lost discipline in our military. My dad was career military, died on active duty, and he was so proud of our military, fought in World War II. But we have lost that edge because it's all about social justice. It's all about division. This group wants to divide everybody. White supremacists are in the military. Give me a break. We need people that want to fight and build a killing machine. And that's exactly what.
Yeah, you can't have tribalism as we have on Capitol Hill in the military. Final question. There is, I think, a valid criticism that the second time around, Donald Trump, because of his bad experiences with John Kelly, Chief of Staff, the General, and others, is more comfortable now with yes men. And Hegseth would be that. Is that a valid criticism?
I think to some point, because number one, the commander-in-chief is going to be the president. But we have talked to, and I have personally talked to Pete about that. If you feel strongly about something, you have got to sell it to the commander-in-chief. Now, obviously, your boss gets to make the final decision, but you've got to fight for what you think is right. Don't give in to every little innuendo that comes across your desk. You do it the way you're supposed to do it, that you believe in it. You believe that you can build the strongest military. Bill, we are in trouble in this world. Our military is in trouble. We have war games that we've done on computers. We don't beat China in any of them, not any of them. And we have got to build this military back in the way that we can win. We have to win wars.
All right, Senator, we really appreciate your time. You were welcome on this program. You got anything you want to tell the folks? And I think Hegseth will get in, and you concur with that, right? You think he's going to be confirmed next week?
Yeah, as you said earlier, it's going to be close. I mean, you're not going to get any Democrat votes. I'm sure.
Not one. You won't get any.
No, and you're going to have some people that's going to have some decisions to make on our side.
Murkowski and Collins will probably vote against Hegseth, but that still gives you one vote, and that's how I think it's going to come down.
Exactly.
Okay, Senator, thanks again. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.